What is up, YouTube? My name is Trinity, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. Today, I am going to be talking about a topic that I have had so much fun researching over the last week or so. Something about me is I am very picky when it comes to watching anime. I don't know what my preferred anime genre is just because I love Attack on Titan, but I also love Delicious in Dungeon. I'm getting into One Piece, even though it is very, very long, but I do enjoy it. And I also watched season 1 of Kaiju number 8 and Solo Leveling. So my tastes are all over the place, but probably something I can say with my entire chest that is my favorite anime is DANDADAN. Because it is everything that I love wrapped up in my favorite kind of art style. Like, it's beautiful. The intro is amazing. It took over like the entire summer last year as it was premiering. It is amazing, and if you haven't watched it, I really recommend you do, even if you're like me who, for a long time, I did not like anime, period. Dandadan follows two protagonists, Momo Ayase, who believes in ghosts and spirits because her grandmother is a medium, and Ken Takakura, also known as Okarun, which is an abbreviation of Occult-kun, who believes in conspiracy theories and aliens. And the two of them become friends, but at their first meeting, they do not agree with each other. Momo thinks it's dumb that he believes in aliens, he thinks it's dumb that she believes in spirits, so they make a bet. And chaos ensues when both of them are proven correct. Now, of course, all of the ghosts and spirits and yokai and aliens, they are very stylized, but all of them are based off of real world conspiracy theories and urban legends or traditional legends, and I just loved researching this so much because, oddly enough, there were a lot that I wasn't familiar with because I'm not familiar with a lot of like Japanese folklore. Of course, they had more simple things. Nessie premiered in one episode, and they also had a version of the Flatwoods monster that I'm not going to be talking about in this video because I'm pretty sure I've already talked about it. But all of the other ones, it was so much fun to realize that these are real things, like at least based off of real things. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you guys today, and I hope you enjoy this just as much as I am. The first one we are going to be talking about is the urban legend of Turbo Granny. Now, in the anime, Turbo Granny is the first spirit slash yokai that Momo and Okarun come into contact with. And she is the first antagonist, though later on she becomes more of an ally to them. She's a foul-mouthed old lady, and she is very prideful because she is incredibly fast. Another one of her nicknames is the 100-kilometer-an-hour Granny. And it's her pride that Momo and Okarun tap into in order to defeat her. They challenge her to a race in which she chases them all over the city with the help of a creature that I'm going to be talking about next. Now, the reason that she decides to attack Okarun and Momo is because she sees Okarun specifically trespassing in her tunnel where she resides as a desecration because that is also the site where a lot of girls were murdered and their bodies were dumped. So she sees it as a very disrespectful thing to do, and she's an urban legend because a lot of kids go there to scare themselves, and she finds it very disrespectful to the actual people that suffered there. Not to say she is completely innocent, but that is her story within Dandadan. Now, Turbo Granny is based off of a Japanese urban legend, which is more modern than I thought it would be given the style of her character. Essentially, if you are driving late at night alone on any lonely road or highway and you see a flash of something in your rearview mirror, you may see a very, very old woman driving in a car behind you. Now, some encounters with her are just you see her briefly and then she's gone in an instant. However, in other encounters, she is definitely more malicious. She definitely has a case of road rage because instead of just following you, she will come up very close to you, beep her horn, flash her lights at you, really just trying to scare you, and if you allow her to catch up enough, she will either crash into you or run you off the road. A lot of people think that the origin or reason for the creation of this urban legend is to essentially be a cautionary tale, like if you're driving late at night, be sure you're not doing anything reckless, be aware of your surroundings, that kind of thing. The next creature we're going to be talking about is the earthbound spirit crab. Now, while Turbo Granny is pursuing Momo and Okarun, out of nowhere, a giant freshwater crab just busts through the wall, essentially, and Turbo Granny fuses with the crab. Now, if you get a closer look at this giant freshwater crab, you'll see that on the back of the shell there are a bunch of faces, and on the front there are rows of noses and mouths, and then a set of eyes. Later, this is revealed that this crab is the amalgamation of all of the spirits of the girls who were murdered at the place where Turbo Granny resides, and Turbo Granny actually sought out these girls to give them comfort in the afterlife, so the crab is very protective of them. Eventually, Momo and Okaroon lead the crab and Turbo Granny to the city limits, where an exorcism ritual is done by Momo's grandmother, and all of the spirits are released. Now, this one's kind of cool because it's based on two different beliefs or bits of folklore. Now, this freshwater crab is actually based on a real life crab called the Haikagani. Don't know if I'm saying that right, but the nickname for it is called the samurai crab. And you can see the resemblance because the upper carapace of the crab shell, so the backside, looks kind of like a human face. And in Japanese folklore, it's believed that these crabs are actually reincarnated warriors from a battle that happened, known as the Battle of Dan no Ura. They are edible, but they're not commonly eaten by Japanese people, probably because of this belief. And the other bit of folklore comes from Momo, a line that she says where her grandmother told her that the dead will sometimes turn themselves into freshwater crabs so they're able to cross the river Styx. So that's a little bit of Greek mythology for you as well. And when I looked it up, it is something that's actually said. Most people say, like, in order to cross the river Styx, you have to pay the ferryman, but others say that some people can turn themselves into crabs in order to cross the river. The next creature we are going to be talking about is the acrobatic Silky. So a little later on in the first season of the anime, another yokai appears to Momo, Okaroon, and another character that, for spoiler reasons, I'm not going to get into. But this yokai is called the acrobatic Silky. And just like the last one, it is actually an amalgamation of two different urban legends. The first urban legend is referred to as acrobatic Sarah Sarah. This is really just a story that goes around in Japan about a tall, slender, pale woman with long black hair will approach you either in a group or on your own somewhere in the city. Maybe you'll be on a train or in a park or wherever. While interacting with you, she will show off a lot of acrobatic moves, such as doing backflips or climbing a tree or cartwheeling, stuff like that, and then she will challenge you to do it. But the person is never able to keep up with her. And soon after doing all of these stunts, she disappears. And whoever witnessed these stunts is now cursed, either to suffer through some misfortune or potentially even die. And the second urban legend that she is based off of is from Mexican folklore, La Llorona. Again, not to get too much into spoiler territory, but in the acrobatic Silky's life, she was murdered, but before that, her child was forcefully taken from her, and she does not know what happened to the child. And because of this, she came back as a very vengeful, but also sad spirit who spends the afterlife looking for her missing child. Much like La Llorona, who there are different versions of the story, but regardless, she is always looking for her children that were taken from her. And the last DANDADAN characters we are going to be talking about today are probably the silliest, but also the weirdest. The Serpos. The Serpos are the all-male species of aliens that are pursuing Momo and Okaroon throughout the series. They are always there and always making plans to try to abduct them. This is because as an all-male species, they reproduce through cloning, but because all of them are perfect clones of each other, that doesn't really allow for evolution. Because of that, they abduct female humans, impregnate them with this robotic thing, and then take out the uterus and, well, we haven't seen what happens after, but I assume some sort of that to grow the new baby alien hybrid. In the first episode, this is essentially what they're trying to do to Momo. Side note, I have read a theory that part of the reason that Turbo Granny / Okaroon were able to save Momo is because Turbo Granny, despite being kind of pissed off that they disturbed her area, she wanted to protect Momo from a similar fate that the girls that turned into the freshwater crab. In their disguises, they look very unsettling. They have very wide, thin-lipped smiles, and their eyes are just empty. You can tell they're not right. I don't know if you could really say that they're a convincing disguise, But what it conceals underneath is a very angular, tall creature with a slug like head and black and white lines running all down their body, and a mouth with very wide, thick lips that just look weird to me. The only variation seen in the species so far is the variation in eye color, but that may just be something they did for the anime in order to be able to kind of tell them apart because they're all identical. They're able to fuse with other life forms. They actually fuse with the Loch Ness Monster and another creature that maybe I'll talk about in a future video. And they also take a special interest in Okaroon and Momo specifically, as well as probably other humans that have supernatural powers, because these powers seem to exceed their already advanced technology, so they want to be able to abduct them and see if they can somehow use this power for themselves. Now, these are not really based off of an urban legend or anything. They're based off of a conspiracy theory from the 60s and 70s called Project Serpo. It said that in 1947, when the Roswell incident happened, which is a UFO crashing down in Roswell, New Mexico, and allegedly an alien body being found inside. This theory says that that alien actually survived. It was taken by the US military and they actually cared for it, and it was allowed to contact its home planet of Serpo. And because it was treated well by the military, the US government and the planet of Serpo, like all the other aliens that live there, formed kind of a relationship, and in order to exchange ideas and information, 12 military personnel were sent to planet Serpo. This trip happened in 1965. It was between a 7 to 11 month trip. One of the team members died on the way to the planet, while another died while on the planet, but the other stayed until 1978, when 8 of the remaining crew members decided to go back to Earth with all of their information and the remains of the 2 that have died on the mission, while 2 decided to stay on Serpo with the aliens. However, all of the personnel that had returned to Earth died not long after because of the high exposure to radiation, as Serpo has 2 suns. So that is what the Serpo aliens are based off of. I was really excited to look into that because I wasn't sure what they were pulling from with the aliens, and I was hoping they weren't just making it up on the fly since everything else was based in some sort of lore. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like and comment down below. Do you want me to cover more of the creatures found in DANDADAN when the new season comes out later this year? Also, what other creatures do you hope that we'll see in the anime? Have you read the manga? Is there stuff in the manga that you'd like me to cover? Let me know down in the comments down below. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you'll be notified anytime I upload. And hey, maybe if this video does well enough, you guys show that you really like anime topics, I will get into talking about more anime. We'll even make an anime playlist. Thank you all so much for watching. I love you all so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.